ever wondered how someone without a social security number can even file taxes in the US? Well, the answer is a 9 digit number that always starts with a 9. It's called an ITIN, the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. But what started out as just a simple tool for the IRS has turned into something way, way bigger. So let's get into it.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the basics, what an ITIN actually is. Then, we'll get into its really surprising role in banking and finance. We'll walk through how you get one, point out the key differences between an ITIN and a social security number, touch on the risks, and then we'll zoom out to see its huge impact on the economy. So, first things first, what exactly is an ITIN? Well, it was basically created to solve a pretty fundamental problem for both the government and, millions of people.
And that really is the big question, right? US tax law says that if you earn income here, you've got to pay federal taxes. It doesn't matter what your immigration status is. But if you don't have a social security number, how are you supposed to do that? For a long time, there was just no official way, and that created this major gap in the system. So back in 1996, the IRS came up with the solution, the ITIN. It's a 9 digit number, and you can always spot one because it starts with a 9. Its whole reason for being is pretty straightforward, to let people without an SSN follow US tax laws. And it's used by a whole range of people: undocumented immigrants, certain students, spouses of visa holders, you name it. And this right here is where it all begins. To get an ITIN, you have to fill out this form, the IRS Form W-7. This is the official application, and you can't just send it in by itself. You have to submit it with a valid federal income tax return, which proves you actually have a real reason to be filing taxes. So we know the ITIN was created just for taxes, end of story, right? Nope, its journey did not stop there. In fact, what happened next was something I don't think anyone really saw coming. Yeah, the ITIN started to be used in ways the IRS probably never even imagined. It accidentally created these new pathways for millions of people to get into the mainstream financial system. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. Look at this list. A growing number of banks, and especially credit unions, now accept an ITIN as a valid ID number. This means people can open checking and savings accounts, get loans for cars, apply for credit cards, and even get personal loans. This is a total game changer, a real bridge to financial stability. So, we've seen what's possible with an ITIN, but how does someone actually do it? How do you get one and then use it to open these doors? Let's break down the actual steps. The whole process really boils down to three main steps. One, you fill out that Form W-7 we just saw. Two, you've got to prove who you are and your foreign status. This means providing original documents or certified copies. A passport is the most common one. And three, you package it all up with your tax return and either mail it to the IRS or take it to an authorized agent. And check this out, this quote really says it all. Places like St. Cloud Financial Credit Union aren't just sorta accepting ITINs. They're building entire programs around them to serve this community. For them, it's about a mission to give everyone access to financial services. This brings us to a super important point. It's really easy to get these two confused. An ITIN looks a lot like a social security number, but trust me, they are fundamentally different things. So here's the bottom line. An ITN is only for tax reporting. That's it. It does not let you work in the US, it does not make you eligible for Social Security benefits, and it absolutely does not grant you any kind of immigration status. An SSN, on the other hand, is all about work authorization and tracking your earnings for retirement. So just remember, ITNs are for taxes, SSNs are for earnings and benefits. Of course, this whole thing isn't without some serious things to consider. It's really important to be clear about the potential risks.
which naturally leads to the big question on pretty much everyone's mind.
And that's the one, isn't it? When you apply for an ITN, you're literally handing over your personal information to the government. So it's fair to ask, what happens to my data? Is it safe?
Well, the good news is the law is pretty clear on this. There's something called Internal Revenue Code Section 6103, and it basically forbids the IRS from sharing your taxpayer info with other government agencies, and that includes immigration enforcement. Now, there are some very, very limited exceptions, like a federal court order for a criminal case that has nothing to do with taxes. So the protection is strong, but it's not totally absolute. Let's just hammer this home one more time so we are all perfectly clear. An ITIN is a tool for paying your taxes, period. It is not a work permit. It is not a green card. It is not a way to get Social Security. And it's definitely not a substitute for an SSN. Thinking it's anything more than a tax number is where the problems start. Okay, now that we've got a handle on what an ITN is, and just as importantly, what it isn't, let's zoom out for the final piece of the puzzle, the bigger picture. Because beyond just individual tax returns and bank accounts, the ITN program has a massive economic footprint. Just look at this number, $5.8 billion. In 2019 alone, that's the net contribution to the U.S. economy from people filing with an ITIN. We're not just talking about taxes paid. This shows some serious economic participation. And this really gets to the human side of it all. For people like Ernesto, who's a house painter, filing with an ITN is about so much more than just following the rules. It's about building a record. It's a paper trail that proves you're complying, that you're contributing. It's like a way of saying, hey, I'm here, I'm working, and I'm paying my share. So what began as a simple, administrative fix from the IRS has clearly become something way more profound. Is the ITN just a tax processing number, or has it accidentally evolved into this powerful key, unlocking doors to financial inclusion and proving the economic might of millions of people? It's definitely something to think about.